Here's kind of an amusing story from the Savannah Morning News from the year 1889. The headline says, Senator Reagan at Tenpins. And the subheadline, a lively dispute with the scorekeeper about a spare. This was originally reported by the St. Louis Globe-Democrat. When Senator Reagan of Texas was here last summer, he used to spend Sunday frequently out of town. A favorite resort of his was Marshall Hall. It is a summer excursion point on the bank of the Potomac about 25 miles below Washington. It is an old-fashioned picnic ground and is fitted up with swings and tennis courts and bowling alleys and other similar accommodations for the amusement of visitors. One Sunday, late in the summer, Senator Reagan went to Marshall Hall and took Mrs. Reagan with him. Among all the visitors on that particular Sunday, there was only one who knew Senator Reagan, even at sight. He saw the senator, but the senator didn't see him. It was therefore with a great deal of interest that he observed the senator's movements. Believing his identity unknown to the crowd, the Texas senator disported himself with the freedom of his boyhood days. He enjoyed himself in the swings and rode the hobby horses and tried to play lawn tennis, but it was not until he essayed to bowl 10 pins that the fun began. Senator Reagan is very fat and weighs nearly 300 pounds, so that his athletic performances are not always distinguished for their easy grace and agility. He took his place, however, with apparent confidence, and grasping the wooden ball firmly in both hands, lurched forward. Evidently, he intended to throw a curved ball in order to astonish the spectators, but somehow he gave his body a sudden twist, stood a moment on one leg, and then sat down. 10 strike, yelled the scorekeeper, all down but 10. The senator glared fiercely at the scorekeeper, the crowd laughed immoderately, and the small boy at the far end of the alley shouted, "Set 'em up on the other alley." Mr. Reagan arose with dignity and resumed the play. This time he was more careful, and by a wonderfully unexpected stroke of fortune the ball went rolling down the very center of the alley, and 9 of the pins fell. The senator appeared greatly gratified at the result, and Mrs. Reagan smiled her approval. "Give me the ball again," said Mr. Reagan, taking position for another throw. The ball was handed to him, and again it went rolling down the center of the alley until it got near the end. Somehow it changed its course, and the last pin went down. "That's a spare," said the senator, addressing the scorekeeper. "Nobody said it wasn't," he growled in response, at the same time marking it on the board. "Here goes for another one," continued the senator, reaching for the ball again. "No, you don't," interrupted the scorekeeper. "That's all the throws you get this time." "But I get 3 throws, don't I?" persisted the senator. I've had only 2 throws." "Well, what do you want to throw at?" was the rather sarcastic query. "There ain't any pins up, and you couldn't hit 'em if there was. That's only a spare, and you don't get another throw until it comes your turn again." "Yes, but I do, though," interrupted the senator. "You set them pins up and give me another belt at 'em. I know what a spare is. This ain't the first time I ever played 10 pins. I get 3 straight throws at them pins, no matter how many of 'em I knock down. It's your business to set 'em up, and it's mine to knock 'em down." And then the senator from Texas and the scorekeeper pitched into each other for about 5 minutes as to the rules and regulations of 10 pins relative to a spare. The crowd enjoyed the dispute, and for a few moments it looked as if a riot might be precipitated. Each disputant maintained his position in emphatic terms, and the scorekeeper in particular grew quite picturesque in his language. It soon became evident that no agreement could be reached, and thoroughly disgusted, the senator refused to play. Mrs. Reagan, greatly alarmed at the prospect, tugged at the senator's shirt sleeves and whispered to him to desist. "My dear," he blurted, "I'll attend to the matter myself." Thus inspired, he gave the scorekeeper some more advice concerning 10 pins, and finally, throwing down the ball in disgust, turned on his heel and stalked away. "Come on, my dear," he remarked to Mrs. Reagan. "They don't know anything about 10 pence here. That scorekeeper don't know enough to eat hay."